right, guys. We've got guests. Welcome. I'll cut the shit. No preamble. We've got the accountants in house. My longtime friend, I went to high school. He's gone on to bigger and better things. I've gone to worse and worse things. But we've come together to talk about annoying things that bother everybody else except you. At the end of this, you're going to fall in love with it. This is my friend, longtime accountant, mergers and acquisitions master. This is Joe Quattrocchi. Welcome him to the stream. And welcome, Joe.
Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, I'm excited, Joe. Joe has been involved in my well-being, financial well-being, since I was a young business owner, and now I'm an old business owner with a bad back. And friend of the stream, met this gentleman in Idaho and realized that we share a similar sentiment to the world, that we both want the same things. This guy's on the West Coast doing things the West Coast, the East Coast way on the West Coast, but up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. James Bohan, CFO. James, thank you for coming all the way out here.
Thanks for having me on, Nick.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So, guys, this is the boring thing. A lot of you don't know. My mother is in. She's an accounts receivable accountant. Is that what you'd call that? Office lady. Bookkeeping.
I've worked with her over a dozen years.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you did. You worked at back in Scorpio with my mom. That's right. Back. Yeah. So. Mom's always kept my nose clean as far as the financials goes, seen the underlying importance of not being a fucking freak when it comes to your books. This is a long time coming on this kind of stuff. It seems like it would be boring shit, but I don't want to hear about your fucking hospitals horror stories. I don't want to hear about EMTs talking about fucking soccer teams with their legs severed off and shit like that. That's gross. I don't want to hear about cops chasing criminals across fence. I don't give a fuck. I want to hear about exits from fence companies and tax code changes and overnight millionaires happening because of
paydays.
Big paydays. Guys, this dog, don't worry, the dog's well trained. He's fine. He's on sedatives. And we do real estate. We talk about houses in here. I try to save you from cancers in the real estate market. Basically, trying to teach you how to spot a lying sack of shit real estate agent, a problem down the road. You're going to fire crazy questions at us today. I want to hear them. Please come out of the woodwork. Tonight's the night. Ask the weird questions. This is the consult. You're going to see. This is the cheapest consult you're going to get by way of this stuff. Hit me with it. I want to hear it. This is going to be exciting. This is nice and boring. This is the way I've always wanted. This is a dream for me. I am wet. I have literally covered the inside of my pants in everything you know.
Underwear. Creamed. Questions. Loaded.
Glazed J. Crew boxes.
$25 paid.
So, guys, anything that you have... hit me up with it. I always say in the show that you can never be too young. You can never be too young, or you can't afford not to have a good accountant. So for your comment, let's start at the bottom here. Let's start at ground zero. I'm a 21-year-old kid. I have a job at GameStop where I smell my coworkers' chairs. I make $29,000 a year, and I made $2,200 selling my old UFC gear on Facebook Marketplace. What are some things to keep your eyes peeled? What are some things for the early tax prep for just your average early guy starting out? What are some things, some words of caution? Anything goes.
Yeah, so when you're basically what we call W-2 wagee, you're probably in the worst position of the tax code. You're getting hit with payroll tax, and you're not able to deduct anything. You used to be able to, before 2017, deduct unreimbursed employee expenses. They took all that out. So the only way to start getting deductions is to have your own business. So if you're selling stuff on Facebook, make sure it's not a hobby, make sure you're doing it for profit, and then you can start writing stuff off like your home office, your cell phone bill, your laptop. As soon as you become a business owner in the eyes of the IRS, as a 1099, report on Schedule C, you can start to take some of those deductions and save money on your taxes.
Now, do I want to start an LLC, or do I want to start an S Corp or a C Corp? And what amount of money before I'm considered, what amount of income before I look retarded, for I'm literally counting my money before I have it? What kind of parameters are you guys thinking isn't nuts before I start thinking about this kind of stuff?
I mean, it depends on what state you're in. If you're somewhere like California, they ding you $800 per LLC. So if you're just flipping some stuff on Facebook, might not make sense then. But if you're in somewhere like Nevada, Wyoming, I'm not sure about all these East Coast places, what their state fees are, but start an LLC from day one. 99% of the time, you're going to want to be that LLC. When you start to make over 60, 80 grand net a year, you can think about an S Corp election. But Joe, maybe you can speak to this as well. Like C Corps are really exciting for tax purposes if you want to sell in 5 years, because you can get tax-free sale if you use a C Corp.
Yeah, there's something that we've been doing a lot lately. It's called a Qualified Small Business Stock Election, 1202. where with a C Corp, you make a simple election. And if you got to hold the company for, it used to be 5 years with the OB3, the One Big Beautiful Act that came out recently, there's different provisions. It's scaled down, so you at least hold it for 3 years. But essentially, you have a C Corp upon the formation, you hold it for 5 years, you make that election. The first now $15 million worth of capital gains are tax-free. Obviously, there's certain provisions, and to your earlier question, LLC, partnership, C Corp. James, brought up some high-level.
Make sure you point the mic right here.
Yeah.
James brought up some high-level common points, but each situation depends. So each situation is unique. So make sure you contact a professional or your financial advisor, CPA, to run through the situation with them before you do anything. And then to your other point earlier, with the Schedule C, the deductions, just make sure that you have proper records and keep track of that from day one.
That's what you were saying earlier. Like we were talking about how a lot of these guys get started in businesses. You're basically starting off with the wrong jumping point, wrong state, wrong formation, wrong boxes checked from the get-go. And if you're looking to, these are like advanced points where you're buying companies in order to exit. So that's some high-level shit, in my opinion. I could be way off here, but if you are trying to get in and out in under 5 years, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. That's okay. Yep. Yeah, all right. So if you were...
Well, from what I was talking about, it's going to be 5 years or more.
Oh, 5 years or more. Okay,
for the qualified small business stop.
Okay.
So that's why it depends on each individual, what their goals are, what type of business they're doing. Flipping certain things on Facebook Marketplace, probably a different strategy, LLC, like James had said, as opposed to creating a C Corp.
I think the majority of the people that are going to be interested in most of this here is going to be, I'll try to cover the gamut. Hairdresser dyeing her friend's hair and working weddings, doing makeup artist stuff, and making a decent amount, $500 to $1,500 a weekend, 20 weekends a year, on the side of her current job, getting checks to Sheila Salon, etc. Driveway mechanic doing weird odd jobs, brake lines in the driveway, getting paid $300 for a $1,200 job, getting like that guy who does flea markets, yard sales, etc., but wants to be semi-legit when it comes time in the eyes of the bank to go to the bank and get a loan to open a brick and mortar or start a business. Or same thing goes for the salon owner, the mechanic, the flipper, the furniture store, etc. What do you think is some of the best moves to start for like these level, even like freelance film guy, weekend wedding DJ guy, in order to get in a position to be able to write off the gear? What are the best jump off starting points as far as corporation formulation? Like what is the best idea?
Just do an LLC. You can turn it into whatever you want, whenever you need to.
You can morph it?
You can morph it.
So I can turn, and at what point do you say, all right, I'm switching this from an LLC to a S Corp or a C Corp?
You usually go S when you're making over $80K net a year, and then you can start to shave some money off your payroll taxes.
Okay, and can you take, this is excellent. Okay, yeah, flipping canoes and shit. Yes, you're right. Flipping canoes, selling DMT. Yes, these are the things I'm talking about. Meeting your clients on a canoe in the middle of a lake and selling them DMT. How do we write off the canoe? All right. So what you can flip at any time. That's just basically filing with the Secretary of the State.
Yeah, make the LLC with the Secretary of State, and then you can, this is going to get nerdy, file Form 8832 to make an entity classification election for your LLC. If you want to turn it into a C Corp, if you want to turn it into an S, file Form 2553.
All right, fucking nerds. Hell yeah, that's some fucking. Are you gonna file the? No, that's awesome. Good. All right, so
Ari Fix, 29-year-old CPA here. Am I a loser for using QuickBooks?
Absolutely not.
No.
There you go.
Yeah, QuickBooks is
universal. It's not the best platform, but for most situations, it does the job.
Yeah, QuickBooks ever evolving. I'll keep going. QuickBooks ever evolving. Just that takes you from me retard, to decent in the door if you're optimizing QuickBooks and its usage as fast as possible. Learn it. It's weird how bookkeeping used to be like sewing. Like everybody's mom knows how to sew a little bit. Everybody's mom knows a little bit of bookkeeping, or it's like it's crazy. Like if your mom can do QuickBooks just a little bit, you're just that much better than the next person.
Savings and Grift Plan. Wanted to get your takes on where you think the profession is headed in the future. 3/4 of CPAs at retirement age, partnerships selling out to PE firms, shortage/pipeline issues, 150 unit requirement going away, so on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So last stats I saw, The accounting degrees have been down 20% across colleges.
Yes.
Some people say AI is going to take your job. It's going to certainly evolve the industry. I think it's going to focus and shift more towards consulting as opposed to just doing, tax returns and the compliance work. It's going to evolve like everything else. We're going to leverage AI as best as we can. Probably use some more data analytics, not the traditional accounting degrees.
Yeah, and it's never been a better time to be a CPA. Like you said, 3/4 of the industry is retiring. A lot of boomers out there, they don't really have a succession plan. There's opportunities to buy their book of business or just compete against them and just be the new young blood, start your own firm, work 5 to 10 years for someone else, and then go hang your own shingle.
Yeah. And there's others I've seen with it, like you said, there's no succession plan. So they're more than willing to, pass that book of business along. They'll stay on for a couple of years in some instances. But a lot of these guys, and ladies, they just want to transition their business over and make sure their clients are being taken care of. So, to your point, you'd rather, 3 or 4 smaller CPAs, try to take over their book of business. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
And if you think about it, like a hand-holding, like a decoupling of business, right? Like I bought a few when I had my landscape company, I would buy out other landscaping companies. I had no guarantee that these people weren't going to call another company. Super volatile, super hostile. I worked with Tony for years. Now, it's just a lot less, it's not as many. These people had your books for years, right? If you're buying an existing book of business, when it comes to an accounting business specifically, the hand-holding, like, hey, what's up? I'm John. I'm retiring. This is James. This is Joe. Joe's going to be taking my business from here on out. We've been talking. We've been working. The retention of clients is going to be so fucking good. So, like, as
long as there's a couple year, transition, they don't want to just turn it over immediately. But if they're going to stay on or willing to stay on for, 2 or 3 years, that's the ideal situation.
It's not sexy or fun to shop for an accountant. That's the truth.
Most people don't want to switch around.
Well, unless you're shopping for me.
What's that?
Unless you're shopping for me.
Yeah. It's a tough. It's like shopping for a gynecologist, and for because they're into you carnally, and like it's not a comfortable position for a lot of people to be in. So if they feel trusted, they would assume that the logic of the person they've been dealing with for 20 years would pass it on. They wouldn't pass it on to Freak Joe.
Yeah, I've got a good bedside manner, Nick.
Yeah. I'm sure you always have. Hey,
Papa John Bin Laden, graduating with an accounting degree at the end of the year. What's the appeal of working for Big Four other than the money? If it is just the money, is it worth the corporate hell?
So I work for the Big Four. I can answer that. 1, it's the network you're going to get. 2, it's that prestige on your resume. When I'm looking out and hiring people, I really like to see that Big Four on the resume. It means you're not a bitch. It means you can take it for like a year or 2, and you really get that skill set under your belt, and you're able to work your ass off, create that discipline internally, and it's just something that's really well respected in the industry. So I'd absolutely do it for a year or 2 at least.
Yeah, and it opens up other doors. To your point, if you stick it out for 2 years from there, that on your resume alone can provide you with additional opportunities.
Deloitte is Big 3 is Deloitte,
Ernst & Young, EY, KPMG, PwC.
So lots of letters. NFL, WNBA, WCW,
CKY,
CKY,
MCR.
Yeah, and YZ250. Hell yeah. No, but those are TBS, Turner Broadcasting Station.
YNW Melly.
Yeah, but those are. And honestly, like long term, there's nothing. You guys work for private firms and smaller and stuff like that. I find it in my life, there is nothing more devastatingly like knuckle biting difficult when you meet a guy my age who's like made partner at PwC or something like that. Not only is that, and I'm sorry, the guy who stayed is the cockiest son of a bitch in the fucking world. Number one, I know this might rub you guys the wrong way. This is the golf guy I hate, where I'm like this. I wish I wasn't at this fucking cookout because now I have to deal with this fucking guy over here telling me he's making $775,000 a year and he's a fucking asshole. Sorry, and he's dealing with Hyundai getting bought out. Like his
probably wearing a vest like this.
He's got this. He's like, he opens his closet. It's only those. Yeah, he's just practicing his golf swing and telling me I smell like fucking salami. Yeah, I've met a few. I mean, we're from New England. This is a very common thing. Like hospital management and accounting is like, it's a thing around here. It's the same guy. And I've got a few in my family where it's just this guy. And the stories are cool for the most part. But the two that I like, the State Street guys, it's a tough fucking conversation. It's a tough culture. I used to sell a lot of these guys cars, and they're like, Oh man, the conversations I've had. I don't know what happens to their ego at about 33 when they start to make like, I think it's like north of 200 grand or something. They just start to go like off the rails with the cockiness, and they're like, "You basically work for me, car salesman." And I was like, "I'll roll the car over with you, and I'll text your wife at 3 a.m."
We got a lot more accounting questions. Jacob Tom, $50 here, says, looking at STR Loophole for married couple, bringing in $450K plus gross, all W-2. Looking to buy something near our house. What's a target in terms of property type, like duplex, etc.? I don't really care if I cash flow property, just want to deduct from W-2.
Yeah, I love the short-term rental loophole. So in order to qualify for that, the great thing about the short-term rental loophole is you don't have to qualify for this nerdy thing called real estate professional status. You're able to buy a house, juice up the depreciation, which is like a phantom write-off. You can deduct a part of your purchase price, and you're able to really just write that off against your W-2. So in order to qualify for that, you have to rent it out for an average of 7 days or less, has to be your average stay. And then the IRS says, okay, this isn't an apartment anymore. This is a mini hotel. And then you have to materially participate in the rental. That means you have to spend generally over 100 hours. No one works more than 100 hours than you, like your cleaning lady, like rotate them so they don't hit over 100 hours. Buy something close to you that you can manage yourself. And then it's all about that year one. If year one's your Airbnb, you know, that's when you get all the write-offs in the loophole. If you want to change your intent later on and maybe turn it into apartments or monthly rentals, you know, you're free to do that, and you've juiced up your year one return. So look for something on that's the tax side. On the strategy side, because I own some of these too, you want to make it cool. You want to have something in the backyard like a trike go-kart thing for the kids. You know, try to sex it up a bit. There's so much competition out there for Airbnbs. Like, you really got to make it cool.
The other thing I'll add too is just make sure you check the local laws. I know, places like Newport, Rhode Island crack down. You can't have short-term rentals. So before you jump into something and buy it, just make sure it's something that you could actually do, those short-term rentals that will qualify you for that.
And can you comp out your short-term rental quickly by just checking, like, as simple as checking VRBO or what is it, AirDNA?
AirDNA. Yeah, just sign up for an account. It'll give you like an estimated revenue number. They're usually pretty accurate for the ones I've had. They came in actually a little light compared to what we were able to get.
Okay. And banks, for the most part, are treating AirDNA as if it's AirDNA is basically how much money am I going to make on this property, and the bank goes, yeah, that's right. And they'll lend to that point. Like,
yeah, more and more lenders will. Some of them like to see it seasoned for a year, but there are more aggressive lenders in the marketplace that will take the AirDNA projections and use that for underwriting.
Will they give you a shittier rate because of that?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Usually a point higher.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's usually a point difference. Whenever someone's more flexible, there's like the backside of the card is, here comes the point fucking I'm about to get, the 1 point fucking. So just keep that in mind. Which is awesome. Great points, yeah. And if you're doing an Airbnb, what are some other things? I became a dealer for Pendleton. I signed up for Pendleton blankets. Takes about 1 minute. They send me. You buy Pendleton blankets, you sell them, you mark them up, you sell them. Wine, that was available. I don't know if you could do that where you are, but wine, snacks, like high-end snacks, bicycle rental, paddleboard rental, stuff like that. Like having everything in the house. Like it used to be like, have a Marshall speaker and I charge you $170. It's the amp. It's like an amp. It's a guitar amp, but it's a Bluetooth speaker while you fuck your wife, while your kids aren't screaming at you, while you paid a $130 cleaning fee. That's since changed. But yeah, the hotel lobby is trying to smash Airbnb as fast as possible, obviously.
Selling mattresses too. So I became like an influencer for Helix mattresses, got a code, put them in a little QR codes in all the rooms. Like, do you like your bed? Here, buy it here. Boom, I get a cut.
Bingo. High count cotton sheets, probably the same thing. Pillows, soaps, Aesop soaps and whatnot. Good luck if you can afford Aesop soap in your Airbnb. $75 fucking hand soap. But I mean, that's rentals. Yeah,
that Aesop is walking out.
We stay at nice hotels. We were traveling when we were doing stand up with Sam. It was like 10 of us. I was like, guys, heads up, we got ASAP soap. Fill your entire bags. If you see the thing, like literally, it's like a text chain. Everybody grab the soaps, put them in your bags. We're stealing them all.
Well, on housekeeping, we need more soaps.
I can't believe it. There's actually no soaps here, and I'm filthy. I stink like I literally fell in a pile of dog shit. My whole body's covered in it. Can I have 14 soaps? All of us did.
Life of Beans. Hey, James and Joe, have you ever assisted in organizing private money for mortgages? I'm in Canada. Some accountants do it and make admin fees on the side. Anything you can share about that side of the lending industry in the United States?
Yeah, I haven't been involved in that.
I've actually been the CFO of a private equity real estate lending fund, so I know quite a bit about it. Usually you can be exempted from securities laws because mortgages are not considered like the securities that you have to register with the SEC with. If you're going to do really a fund model and raise outside equity, just get a securities attorney. They'll put the docs together and then just put the money into an LLC and lend it out from there. If you're just doing it with friends and family, you probably don't really need that securities attorney and just form the LLC and send money out. A lot of title and escrow companies can be cheap servicers for you as well. So just get them involved and they'll charge like, $20. You pass it off to your borrower and they pay for all the servicing too.
Now you talk about private lending for individual projects. Hard money lending, for lack of a better term.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Responsive capital, please.
Responsive capital. I like that. Around here they call it like, don't pay me and I'll fucking push you against your car in front of your family outside of a Chili's. Hard money, it's gone on the domestic side, just from the retard's point. Street money has gotten so much cheaper in the past 5 years. It's incredible. They used to be outrageously expensive. Deals would never work. You'd do it anyway. It was just New Yorkers being like 15-3, all these like terms you'd hear. Now it's 10-2, 10. And is that because the silver tsunami, the boomers are retiring, they're getting $4 million for their commissary kitchen business that they had, and now they literally don't know what to do with it, so they're like, fuck it, I'll let you do it. I got this kid who flips houses, so now they're just like, I don't know, I just want 10%, and they're really so scared about them fucking up that they're being sort of like Minnesotian with their money.
Yeah, and they want to get that 10% instead of 4% in a checking account.
Right, or 372.
Make sure you're dealing with a good person, because even BlackRock's writing down their credit funds right now.
And what does that mean to you as a whole when they start writing that? Like, what does that paint a bigger picture of when they start writing down that?
It means that there's a huge buying opportunity coming online really soon.
Yeah, I like when BlackRock fucks up too.
Yeah, same.
It's like why aren't the because I say that a lot. People are like, well, BlackRock's buying houses, and I hate when people say I'll never be able to buy a house. It drives me crazy. Because that's why this stream exists, is people saying I'll never be able to house. Yes, you will. Everybody in the world can, and it's not some pipe dream shit. I mean, I'm not going into the middle of Manhattan and saying I want fucking Johnny Depp's condo, but I'm going, which happens a lot. Look, why do I have to move out of New York City? It's like, because I sold Mercedes and made okay money. I wouldn't even dream of going into Manhattan and trying to buy fucking anything. You guys make good money. You wouldn't think about buying in Manhattan.
Hell no. Never.
No. I mean, not like you would anyway, but I'm just saying. But upstate, there's lots of values in New York State. New Jersey's getting pricey, but, New York State is fantastic other than the taxes, but... there's opportunities everywhere, but I don't know where I was going with that. When BlackRock's buying everything. BlackRock can't buy everything. They buy chartable stuff, and they make mistakes all the time. They sold Bitcoin today at $74,000 probably. Who knows? I like watching them make mistakes, so it's more fun.
We got Steve G here. Wife and I are considering buying 4-acre lot in Northeast Pennsylvania, eventually building in the next 3 to 5 years, thinking of $40K down. What are my best options to finance the remainder? $120K parcel.
Oof. Buying land? Have you experienced buying land and bringing it to the bank yet?
I mean, you can do it. It's tough when you don't have yield and you're coming out of pocket to cover that mortgage. Mm-hmm. And they're really just going to underwrite you more as the borrower than the actual asset in that instance.
Yeah, it's tough. Buying land and $120,000 parcel. What was it? Can you reread that?
Let's see here.
Put 40 grand.
40K down. Wants 4 acres of land in Northeast Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Options to finance the remainder, $120K parcel.
Very unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, someone will do it, and you might be paying 10%.
Yeah.
And a shorter term, too. Usually, if it's just land, I think max, 10 years you typically see?
Yeah, I mean, most of the hard money guys will give you 1 to 2 years. And you want to get it entitled and maybe sell off a portion, pay down your initial $80K loan, maybe get the whole thing for free if you parcel it off and sell it quickly enough. Just be careful of those carry costs at 10%. It'll eat you alive.
That's a good point. So if you're trying to buy the land for $120,000, you better buy a subdividable land, meaning cut it up into 2 pieces, sell half of it, and then you get a free parcel for yourself. That's one option. 2, if I'm being real with you, I bought land and built a house, and I did exactly what you're saying. If I had to do that on hard money and I didn't pay for the land cash, I found the piece of land for $84,000, which I paid for cash. And then I subdivided it. That was $14,000 in and of itself, just from the surveying costs. Never mind the bullshit that I have to go through with X, Y, and Z, which is probably another 10 grand roughly. And then readying the property to sell on the secondary market, it requires another $30,000 sometimes in prep fees. Meaning, this is a real piece of land. This isn't a raw piece of shit. It's not like it's like an undone. Like, the land has to have some substance. It can't be like raw land. You're not going to get any fucking money for it, and just in basic terms. So. Be really careful with what you're doing. You're shopping for some expensive shit right now, even though it seems kind of like it's only 120, and then I put on a house for 350. Out of all the shit in real estate that I've ever been through, that dream is the cokiest one. The buying the land and building the house one. That like, I know my dad's friend builds houses for $375,000, all said and done. If someone said that to me right now, I'd kick them in the balls and I'd mace them. I would. I would mace a little old man that's built 40 of them. I would say, liar, liar, and I'd blow the ice whistle. Beep, ice whistle! And I'd blow it at him, and then I'd bear mace him. Just because of, that's just where I live, the site where, the site, ice whistle. I need like that.
Your vuvuzela or whatever?
Yeah. The cost, the carrying cost, and the carrying cost alone, just the money on the juice.
But that's where you can make a lot of money, though. If you're creating the value, you pay that 30 grand for the survey, the engineers, you subdivide it, you get it entitled. You know, that's where you can make real money.
How much do you think you're selling this fucking land for, though? If you bought it so cheap, the guy who, like, I never find the people that are like, you can do that. Like, it's just like you have to like really literally buy land from an alcoholic. That hasn't like picked their head up in 30 years.
Or a larger parcel.
Yeah, or like a huge parcel where like but then we're talking like around here, nobody lets that happen. Like every fucking hick is like, they want to build 100 houses where I'm from. And we're in Rhode Island. So like Walmart called me once. I said, fuck you. This is what goes on. Trust me, land hicks are rich. You literally have to buy from an alcoholic. I used to get sent in from my friend who was a property attorney. My buddy used to send me in. He'd be like, Nick, go make a deal with this fucking hick. And I would meet them at like Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd be like, what do you want? And they're like, a Corvette. And I was like, so a Corvette, and then you sign the papers. They were like, that's what I said. And I'm like, where are you going to take the Corvette? Because I need you to vacate the property. They're like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go. I need someplace to go. I'm like, well, what if I paid your rent for 6 months? Would that get the deal done? They're like, absolutely. And I'm like, and you'll be out in a week, right? And like, I'd have to do these deals. But trust me, they're not that fucking stupid. So yes, if you can build value and subdivide, I would love to see a reality of someone doing that. This just happens around here. So if you can buy something that's subdividable, and what are you looking for a subdividable? Road frontage. What are the minimums? You can't buy, if a property looks like this and the road goes like this, you can't split that. You need to put a road down here and split it left and right. Trust me, the property I bought, this is by accident, the property I bought had 1,000 feet. The minimum is, guess what, 500. Bang, right down the middle. Property 1, property 2. That's able to do. I was lucky. And then the surveyors will dictate how the property is split, et cetera, wetlands and whatnot. And trust me, when that property is really raw, it's very fucking ugly to the open market. So what are they going to want to see? A road. Guess how much a road is? $200 a foot. How long's the road? 100 feet. What's that cost? Do the math on it. 20 grand. Yeah. Oh, plus that's just for the road, for the dirt cost. Oh, well, what about the trees getting cut down? Oh, that's another 10 grand. So now we're at 30 just to build a little inlet. So, and then you put trust me, there's more to it.
Jacob Tom, is it worth the fucking around to form LLC for STR Loophole, since you mentioned you are involved in STR/Airbnb?
Not for tax purposes, for liability purposes, absolutely. Someone comes, stays at your Airbnb, slips and falls, you want them suing the LLC, not yourself personally. Excellent.
Which is always my biggest fear. That's why I got out of it. I had a lightning storm here on this. I had a tiny home on this one. We had a sorry, buddy. I had a lightning
A-frame, right?
It was a tiny house. It was kind of like an A-frame, yeah. And one night I was like, I had a Chinese exchange student staying down there, totally illegal. And I was like, I'm gonna go down there. There's gonna be a fucking tree stuck through an Asian girl. And like, I remember I drove my car down to the bottom of the field. It was raining. I shut my fucking hand in the car door, and I was like, oh! Like it was my wife's, and like I remember I pulled my finger out, and I was like, and I'm like walking up to the house thinking I'm peering into the window at a sleeping Chinese girl. Like I'm like, my finger's killing me. I'm like, I'm selling this fucking thing tomorrow. So I got out, but that was my biggest fear, is the liability, and I never put the money in the short-term rental. I never put it in an LLC. But you would put it in an LLC?
Absolutely, day one.
Day one. How do you transfer the property? Transfer the property or no?
Quick claim deed just takes $30, 15 minutes at title.
What if there's a mortgage on it?
Technically, there could be a due on sale clause.
Yes.
I have not heard of those ever getting really enforced for something like that.
That's what I just heard. And they also talk about that for trusts too.
Yeah, trust. There's actually a law out there where you're able to put it into revocable living trust even with the due on sale clause in there. There's actual law and case law around that. I'm not an attorney, so take that with a grain of salt.
None of this is financial advice, by the way. Not even one of this is all speculative guys smoking pot, chilling, Joe Rogan style, eating steaks and elk steaks and fucking lifting weights.
Cookies.
Cookies. So, well, what we're talking about, due on sale clause, the bank calls the loan. Is that what we're talking about? Saying, oh, you want to transfer your house that you're going to rent out to your, Divine Stays LLC? No problem. Pay me the $200,000 that you owe me from the mortgage. That's what he's talking about. You want to put it in a family trust like you heard on TikTok, dipshit? No big deal. Yeah, just pay me all the money you owe me first, and then they call the loan. Now, there hasn't been situations where they call it. That's kind of the gray area right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried like with all these like people that have loans at like 2 to 3%, they might start enforcing that a bit more because those loans are tanking banks when they have to mark them to market.
Mark them to market. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are like anchors and their bankroll.
Yeah, banker. So if you think about First Republic Bank, they got blown up a couple of years ago because when they had to market all their mortgages at 2.75 to 3% that they lent to rich people, they were underwater, and then so J.P. Morgan came in and scooped them up.
Oh, so they have like a bunch of like good boy loans that are under. Yeah, so cool. You're still servicing rich people, or any of these people that have like. You look at the paper, and all the paper is written at two single digit percent, 2%, 3%.
Yeah.
And where the rates were at the time. Yeah.
We'll see what happens when those 7% stop performing, which bank looks better. You know what I mean? Because at least they're backed by some sort of asset. You know what I mean? In the end of the day, you can hope for people, little old ladies dying inside these homes and whatnot, or these stubborn boomers never selling their house.
We got Star Beast, 31, freelance designer / illustrator, full-time since 2020, using PayPal invoicing and TurboTax. Any general tips for freelancers?
This is a good one. I do want to hit this hard.
Oh, and say that one more time.
Illustrator making money for PayPal invoicing.
Yeah, using PayPal invoicing and TurboTax. General tips for freelancers?
PayPal invoicing, so they'll give you all of your income through a PayPal run out, but you really need to track your expenses a lot better. And so set up your own business bank account, set up your own business credit card or debit card, whatever the bank will give you, and just make sure you're running all your expenses through that. So if you're too lazy to set up QuickBooks, you can just run a bank run out at the end of the year, get all your expenses that way, and then throw it into TurboTax.
Yeah, but the QuickBooks wouldn't be a terrible idea too. You could also do or pivot to do the invoicing out of there. But to James's point, keeping track of what's not going through the invoicing or the revenue from the PayPal is going to be important.
We got Ursa. For someone who's only W-2 and already maxing their 401k, Roth IRA, HSA, are there savvy write-offs I could utilize? Currently burring and want to put it in LLC. He's making a lot of money. How could I set it up to ensure corporate veil can't be pierced?
He's burring.
Burring is build, renovate, refinance, rent, repeat.
Here we go.
I love that. I meant like money machine go burr.
Yeah. Kind of.
I love that strategy from the tax side. If you're married, get your spouse to be the real estate professional if they're not employed and you have the W-2. That'll help with the taxes a lot. Sounds like you're doing all the right things. Maybe look at what expenses you can maybe set up to have your own management company to manage your BRRRRs if you continue to do this. Start to centralize some sort of entity at that level to start writing off your cell phone, all that kind of stuff. If you can't get to the real estate professional status as yourself or your spouse, look at doing a short-term rental strategy and potentially converting it to long-term after the first year or two.
I've heard you say set up your own management company.
Yes.
Why?
Because sometimes when you have a rental business, like writing off your cell phone just for like an apartment, like one single family rental isn't usually the best thing. Once you start to create an entity to manage that, you can start to use different entity types. With C corporations, you can reimburse your own medical tax-free. So those are some reasons I do it as well. And then you can have this centralized company to employ your spouse to meet that rep status, or have just this centralized company that can kind of take costs at one level from potentially multiple properties.
It works out well if you have multiple properties.
So you can do it 6 times, 10 times.
No, you have one management company that would oversee the different properties.
Yeah, but like the write-off potential is higher based on the...
You're able to start like writing off more of your ordinary business expenses that you might not be able to just with like a rental property.
Okay. And you think you can offload a good amount? When does the concept of having a management business start to like cut into your, what the fuck am I doing here? That's not what I set out to do.
Yeah, it kind of depends on where you're at. Like if you're a W-2, maybe not do that. But if you're really an entrepreneur, you have your own business, then you can start to create other entities to start to what we call income shift in the tax biz and get certain business divisions into different types of entities. For example, you want your real estate owned in an LLC partnership structure. You want your management company as a S corporation, and you might want a C corporation as your family management company, or sometimes as a general partnership as well. When you're playing the game at a higher level, you like want one of each entity type for different reasons.
Okay, so one, it's almost like a funneling thing, like all like businesses, all vertical, just different. I mean, okay. I'm trying to grab it for myself here. I'm trying to figure out because if I ever had to do short-term rentals, I would shoot myself in the temples, because it was just how many times can I manage a guy just trying to fucking cheat on his wife inside my tiny house, which is what my life turned into, and how many bachelorette parties are going to go stay at my other one and come all over my pillows, etc.
I couldn't handle. I had to hire a manager for mine. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you're in the point where, God forbid, any profit is good.
Correct.
I see these businesses fucking headaches is what I see. And
they are. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like starting when you say like open, it was like open up this headache. That's like open up a boxing ring and have strippers fist fight in your living room, and then that'll be able to get you a 3% on. That's like I can't stand strippers, but I don't want to see them fist fight in my living room. Like shit like that. So,
or to James' point, you said you found someone to actually run it, so you're not doing the management.
Correct. Yeah. So she's an employee of my management company. Yeah.
And you offload that, and you basically offload that, and anything that comes in is gravy. Like truthfully, literally, it's $500 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever.
Yeah.
And any growth that's there is like you can highly commission it to her and have a valued employee. But yeah, grow the shit out of it. It's literally it's all yours. I take a small portion of the bigger pie you build. That's kind of like the opportunistic end from your single employees.
Well, they're dealing with the headaches. Situation.
I'm at a 13 key like boutique hotel, so a little different. I've got some scale there where I can absorb that overhead, and then she deals with all the housekeepers, which is another whole nightmare to deal with as well, and the guests.
That's the booking alone is where I get where it's like
It's tough to justify that if you have one or two small rentals, but in your case, if you have a portfolio of properties or a larger resort type hotel situation, that's when it would make sense.
You don't throw that on the back of your business card and say, hey, I'll manage your properties, do you?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah, you're not putting it out there. Yeah, you're not like, hey, I do this, by the way. You're like, fuck that, dude. Hey, by the way, I eat shit. Yeah, just in case you don't know. Yeah, I clean out septic tanks with my mouth. That's kind of like, because that literally running rental businesses in my head, I've never met a more stressed out individual than anybody trying to rent out any unit ever, always. Just throwing that out there.
Art Chad, greetings, full-time YouTuber here. What should I be making before I incorporate? Still just collecting everything as personal income. Much love from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Come back to Canada someday.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I'll be out there in Nova Scotia eating clams with you, pal.
Liability on the YouTube business is probably really low, so no need an LLC. I think you want S Corp as soon as you're making over 80K net.
S Corp if you're going over 80K net.
There you go. Simple as.
Yeah. This was always a question I wanted to ask. You're working as a finance manager at a Mercedes-Benz dealership for not a national corporation. You're working as can your employer pay your S Corp?
Yes. Are you 1099 or W-2 in that instance?
You'd be W-2 in that instance, right?
Well, it depends on how you're set up. A lot of sales guys are 1099, and you can route that right to an S Corp.
Was it like if you're a corporate?
You were a W-2 employee.
W-2. Can you? And is there ever an option for you to be a floor salesperson where you pay an S Corp?
You'd have to be a contractor.
Yeah, you just have to negotiate that with your employer.
Huh.
Which would be a B2B contract instead of like an employment. And a lot of employers will like that because they don't have to deal with all the the payroll tax, all the HR BS.
Yep.
Would you get fucking railed on that? Is that a way? This is why I wanted this stream. This is me before I stopped drinking, thinking like everybody's gonna be doing this in the future.
I have coached clients to tell their boss, fire me as an employee, hire me as a consultant through my S Corp.
Yes.
And smart bosses will do that.
Same
yeah,
guy.
Same thing.
There's 9 of you, but one of you is getting paid to shit stain LLC.
Exactly.
Shit stain S Corp.
Yeah.
Corp.
And for me, it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But if it does fit, there are the benefits. They may you could probably negotiate for higher pay because, again, they're not paying the payroll taxes. Probably not the benefits that go along with it.
7 to 10% more, yeah.
7 to 10% more?
Yeah, to cover
what are they shielding? What are they not paying?
Some of the required benefits, as an employee class or group that they have to offer you, the employer portion of the payroll taxes.
That's
all
about
that
7%.
Liability gets shifted to you or your S Corp.
I thought that was in my head, I was like, everybody's gonna be doing this down the road. Like Stop and Shop managers and shit are gonna be like, no, I'm not Karen. You're gonna pay.
I'd find it tougher to do in corporate America, but for independent shops, probably do that.
Like single owner car dealerships. I mean, I'm a car salesman. This is what I think about. So I was like, as a salesman, I would want to go on, but you're still paying my company. You're not paying Nick. Nick Rochefort is not taking a paycheck. It would be my company.
Yeah, totally valid.
Yeah, okay.
And especially in real estate, like if you work for a property manager or a developer, it's really hard to qualify as real estate professional if you're an employee. But if you have your own business and you're doing the same real estate professional trades or businesses, now you don't have to meet that 5% owner requirement to have your employee hours count.
I don't know what any of that means. You don't have to.
Requirements for the
all right, so let me. I've said this a few times. So to become a real estate professional, you need to spend over 750 hours in real estate trade or business and no more personal service hours doing anything else. And real estate trades or businesses can be a landscaper, contractor, acquisitions broker, property management, architect, even developer. All that stuff qualifies for that 750 hours.
Yeah.
And that allows you then, if you materially participate in your rental businesses, to unlock all these massive cost seg depreciation from your rental properties.
So ideally, too, if you have a spouse, have them as the property manager. They can oversee, help manage the properties, which unlocks, potentially that designation.
And that's exactly what I do, because I have too many hours as a CPA to qualify myself as the real estate professional. So I have my wife get her real estate license. She helps do all of our listings, our showings, some more property management as well. So she qualifies us to unlock all this massive depreciation from our rentals.
How much are you yielding? Like, what do you, if you think of real talk, what is you, percentage-wise, what are you net yielding out of this, this maneuver?
Like the savings?
The savings, yeah.
On this maneuver, if you can become a real estate professional, you can, and you're buying basically a rental property every year, you're going to wipe out most of your tax bill every year. And so whatever that is, 10, 20, 30K, that's a lot. If you're going to hey, pay my S corp as a car salesman instead, then you can start writing off a home office, your cell phone. You can start shaving thousands off your tax bill.
Gotcha.
And if you're someone who's making a good amount of money and you own real estate, without that designation, a lot of times you get capped at the deduction you can take. So that removes the limitations that you have.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, so it's sort of like...
Even if you have a property that has a loss, with the amount of money that you make, for example, you might be capped at the percentage of loss, if any, that you're able to take on your taxes. With the real estate profession designation, that unlocks a lot of that.
Yeah.
So think about the things like the depreciation on the property, things of that nature.
Every year. Any qualifications, filings, things like that?
Every year you have to qualify with this?
Yeah, every year you have to qualify to materially participate in your rentals and meet that 750-hour test.
How do you test?
It's like a self-test. You have to, if you get audited, all the court cases say, look, let me see your time log. So you have to keep a time log of all the hours that you've spent on property A, property B,
so
property C.
So I do that on January 1st. I have AI generate me a fake one, and I check it off immediately, correct? Not you saying that, but in theory.
They want to see
saying that.
They want to see a contemporaneous log. So as you're doing it, you're writing it in your log as well.
So ideally, January 2nd, you're at XYZ property, January 3rd, ABC.
I was here.
Yeah.
Make it random. ChatGPT, make it random. And make me drop by there every now and then. Make it more random. Even more random. That's good. Put little check boxes with pencil-drawn marks in them. That's cool. All right, print that out for me. Thank you.
You're in New York. 10 minutes later, you're in California.
It's fucks up and starts lying and shit. It's how to run with a tenant. You showed her nudes in the phone. It's what? No, I didn't do that. It just starts going fucking ChatGPT nuts. That's great. That's really okay. All right.
It's the Donald Trump play. If you don't want to pay taxes, being the real estate professional is one of those loopholes in the tax code that is very stringent to meet. But if you can unlock it, it's incredibly valuable.
Okay. I mean, these are the things these are why you masters are here. You money masters are here.
We got Iowa immigration discussion says, what's the functional threshold for when to start an LLC / report cash income, and what are the advantages at what levels of income? I do electrical work on the side and flip auction tools, and it's starting to add up fast.
So LLCs don't save you on taxes. They save you on liability. And from the jump, you have to report in that cash. As a CPA, I have to tell you that.
And I'm saying do coke. So I'm saying do it. Do it. Have fun with it. I know. Is there any is there a best time of the year to start an LLC? Is the Delaware loophole still a thing? Is that a thing? Remember that when that was open your company in Delaware?
That's more for the corporate protection. Less filing requirements. I would say I've encountered some people who are thinking about starting a business. Will go ahead and file the paperwork to incorporate December 20 something. Not usually a good idea because the IRS, the state, wherever you incorporate in, is going to look for a tax return. So just when you're ready, when you're going to start to take some motion and movement, is when you should file that paperwork.
So now,
Yeah.
So that for that guy now,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
at the beginning of the year.
If you're looking at like an LLC is just the cost of liability protection. If you do it in December 22nd, you get 9 days of liability protection. If you buy it in January, you're getting 11 months of liability protection. So think about it like that.
Okay. You heard it. What do you flipping auction tools? Good for you, buddy. Cool. Like that.
We got Arlos. Taking over some farming from my dad, looking at 60 to 80K from 1099 and 40K from W2 full-time job. Any advice on if I should get an LLC or S Corp for the 1099? Greetings and thank you from Texas.
Yeah, you're right at the threshold for the S Corp. Looking to see if you're going to be a part owner in the farm as well. There's a lot of tax advantages from being in the ownership. For example, I live on a farm in Idaho. I did a cost segregation report, and I'm still living off those losses from 3 years ago.
Yep.
So I like wrote off like all the fencing, all the trees. Like I got like $200,000 in write-offs from just the first year I bought it. Doing a legit farm, you know, we go to the farmer's market a couple times a week. We sell eggs, we have a market garden. And since we're in the ownership of the asset, we're able to take a lot of write-offs for the property we bought, from like the fencing, the trees. I bought a John Deere tractor. They were doing like 0% down, 0% interest for 7 years.
Yeah.
And in that year, I wrote off like my 50K tractor.
Yeah, no, they get
Take
thirsty.
the write-offs immediately and apply them towards future earnings.
Yeah. You should not, as a farmer, you should not be paying taxes if you own the farm.
Yeah. And that's why I bought my commercial rock crusher and I lease it out for $50,000 a month. I needed it.
Yeah, and on that farming, I very careful with the S Corp if you own the land, because you might not be able to take all those losses I was talking about. So definitely
Really?
talk to someone. Yeah.
Huh.
An S Corp, if you want the technical answer, will block any debt basis from being associated to you. So you can only take losses up to the amount of your basis within the S Corp. When you're in an LLC or partnership, you get all that debt basis yourself personally that you can start taking write-offs against.
That is heavy nerd shit, James.
Heavy nerd shit.
That is
This is what I do all day, every
fucking
day.
nerd shit right there. What, is that state by state basis that
No,
you
this
say
is
that?
federal. This is federal.
Federal, okay.
Yeah.
To your point, at that level that you talked about before, it's always great to have the different entities under your
Correct.
enterprise for
Correct.
reasons like that.
Maybe your S Corp rents the farm from your LLC partnership with your dad, and then you write off all your income from the partnership that you own it through, and then you use an S Corp to shield some self-employment taxes.
These are heavy moves right here. This is like 5Xing right here. This is exactly why this had to happen. This is exciting things, guys. This
This
is
ain't no Mickey Mouse
Scuffed
operation
account,
here.
and I'm so excited right now. I'm still, my spine is tingling.
Columbus Broad. I run 2 acupuncture clinics alone. Just hit 6 figures and work 16 hours a week. Hiring is the only way to grow. How do I know when to hire? I'd have to pay $60 an hour minimum. Also, wash your rugs in the snow.
Yes, you can wash your rugs in the snow.
Yeah, I would say what you said is a good point. Working 16 hours a week. If you want to ultimately sell that business, what's more attractive to a buyer is you detaching that sale from your business as much as possible. So that investment of hiring someone $60 an hour, one, it could free you up to grow the business in other areas, but also makes that attractive if, again, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you ultimately want to just have an exit and sell that.
I agree.
When to hire?
Yeah, hire as soon as possible. So I kind of learned from my dad early on as a real estate developer as well. When you hire people, you hire their problems. So I never wanted to hire employees. But now that I have a CPA business and had it for over 5 years now, I've realized the value of hiring people, and it really gives you a lot of leverage and scale. And if you're not hiring people, you just have a job with extra steps.
Okay, and just being like kind of like everything else, just really vetting who you're letting in. It's like tenancy, like I say, like vetting your tenants is like you're letting someone in your fucking biggest investment of your life. Like you don't even let your best friends in your house. You don't even have your friends over for a beer. Never mind. You're letting someone rent your house. Make sure the lease and the vetting process is so long and arduous. Like everything can go wrong if you fuck this up.
And to your point, the job market has slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
In the COVID days, you'd have to offer whatever to a prospective employee. But since that job market has shifted a little bit to the employer, definitely take the time, vet it. Don't skimp out on that process.
Any systems that you're finding that are better than that? And when you're coming to, what was it? Not streamlining. What do they call that? What's some of the best hiring, sourcing for top quality candidates? Headhunting tools. Anything you guys find? Anything like that?
For me, it's been LinkedIn, but I'm looking for professionals. If you're looking for someone for like a service business, probably Indeed or ZipRecruiter. There's a ton of stuff out there.
Do you actually use that?
I've used LinkedIn very well to hire people.
And it works?
Yeah.
God, LinkedIn is so fucking cringy. And you can look up, like sometimes LinkedIn is very...
My friend got into a band that way.
Really?
Yeah, I was like looking for a drummer.
No shit.
Got into a van, yeah.
They're playing like IBM. They're just like at Fidelity. That's wild. Okay.
Look to your school and university networks too. They usually have job boards, and then you can have some shared commonality as well.
Huh. Interesting. And this is acupuncture, she said, right? So I'm sure there's a niche acupuncture.
Yeah, there's acupuncture schools, and she probably went to one, and go back and see who's graduating from their next round of classes.
It's Hippie Donna. Yeah. You can find Paul. Yeah, that's wild. Well, I mean, Godspeed to you.
New Gloff. Thoughts on tenant in common arrangements?
Yes, I have a lot of that.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, layer an LLC above it so you have some liability protection. Two, that it gives you optionality if you ever want to 1031 exchange your portion of it into something else. And then the third is be very careful how you run it, because there's very specific revenue rulings around how to operate a tenants in common. Basically, everything has to be split exactly in those tenant in common ratios. Income, revenue, distributions all have to go out exactly in the tick percentages, and it gives you a great amount of flexibility.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
So instead of like, say you want to buy a property, all three of us together.
Yep.
Most people think you form an LLC. We all own a third of it. The LLC owns the property. Well, this is saying like we each set up our own LLC, and all of our LLCs then own a third of the property at the title level. So literally with title, it'll list all three of us or our LLCs as owners. And then if I want to take my piece, if we sell the property and I want to take my piece and 1031 it into something else, it gives me the flexibility from the jump to be able to do that.
Okay. I've never heard it referred to as tenant in common.
Ticks, maybe?
Ticks?
Yeah.
Never even heard of that.
Okay.
Wow. No one's going into bit. We're just too much untrustworthy pieces of shit around here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not very culturally. It sounds like a bigger dog thing to do.
Yeah, be careful with that. Make sure your lender's down with it. A lot of lenders don't like that kind of stuff, so be careful on that end of it as well.
And that's like, lender involved. How are they doing that? How does each LLC qualify you when you're three different people?
Same as if we were buying it through an LLC together. They just look at each of us as a partial owner.
What if the third one's a deadbeat?
Yeah, it's going to ding you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys show up in like nice cars, and I'm like, wait, you guys going in? I just need to grab a quick butt. I'll be right in. Tell them I'll be right in. I got my papers all right here. Yeah, man, here's my LLC. Like, I can just see that happening. All right, that's funny. Okay. Cool. All right. So, hey, that's your answer. Tenant in common. Good luck buying. So that's a risky venture, though, going into business with. But sometimes it's the only way it's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Maybe if you have different people that have different strategies around it, and that's the only way sometimes deals come together.
I got Joe Gigliotti says, have to move in with my grandma to take care of her, but I already own my home and don't want to sell. Was going to Airbnb it. Ways to avoid taxes?
Yeah, don't sell it. If you want to pay taxes, sell it. If not Airbnb, why not just get a monthly lease in there too? Furnished finder if you want the medium-term rentals with the optionality to move back in, or just get a long-term 12-month lease in there and save a little bit of money. You'll probably get it tax-free with the depreciation on it all.
Yeah, it might be less headaches too if you can find someone long-term or at least month at a time, as opposed to Airbnb in it.
Furnished finder, you use the term? What's that?
Yeah, it's like travel nurses use this to find spots. I think you guys talked about it last week too.
Yeah, we talked about a lot. You call it furnished finder?
Yeah, it's literally a website, furnishedfinder.com, and this is what a lot of people use.
3 years of talking about this, furnished finder. You guys, there it is right there. Thank God for James. That's what I'm talking about, that elite level short-term rental. That's a month. These nurses, listen, I've sold cars to travel nurses. I cannot fucking believe how much money they make. I'm talking like, it's probably the number one between, honestly, sports pub owners was one of the ones that blew me away. How much money sports pubs make, like stupid bad restaurants, the income they would make on revenue. I was like, what? That was one of, like, I'm pretty good at this where I can kind of figure out what people make. And I was like, you don't make that. And they were like, no, that's what I mean. I swear to God. And I was like, bad ones, bad. Chip.
Again, Bud Light for, 50, 60 cents a bottle, selling it for $4.55.
Chip bar guys, like the guys that own two. I'm talking those shitty bars. Like, actually, we went to that bar. That was fantastic. I went Lakers in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh yeah.
I don't call that a shitty bar. It's not a shitty. It's a great bar. But those like small bars that have bag of chips, they make money, guys. Heads up, we're there in the bar and that one, and then the travel nurses. I'm talking 25-year-old girls making $10,000 a week.
It's nuts. Like they're making 6 figs easy.
Oh yeah, no. I met a girl. She was making like, she's like, I just got my first job. I'm a travel nurse. Like, nice girl, 24. A dork dad. It was a sweet guy. Bought her a CLA 250, good gas mileage. She was traveling, great car. She's like, I make like $70,000 a year. Oh my God. I was like, that's awesome. Good for you. Comes back like 6 months later, 25 years. I want to buy a G-Wagon. I was like, what? I was like, you're not buying a fucking G-Wagon. I was like, let's call your father. She's like, no, I'm serious. She's like, I make like $8,300 a week now. I was like, what? I was like, looking at it. I started like puking in my pants, and she did. So I told her to stop that, and I was like, if I hear you bought a Porsche or something, so I just told her keep her car and save your money. But that was wild, and she was trapped. She was doing that.
Yeah.
And she was.
Back to the point on the last super chat as well. If you've lived in that house for at least 2 of the last 5 years, you can sell it tax-free up to $250K in gain. So if you bought it for $500, you can sell it for $750 tax-free. But I would recommend don't sell if you don't have to. Rent it out.
Yeah, never sell. Please don't sell. It's not that hard. It's not that. It's worth your aggravation. Let's put it this way. You don't have a better idea, and the stock market's at an all-time high. Let's put it that way. And honestly, I really, it's like been my favorite. I don't have a better idea. When real estate is for those people like, oh, you're a stock maven. Listen, the stock talk. You've been in a lot of places where.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I own 5 game stonks. That's it.
Yeah.
I like dirt. I like land.
Land.
Simple.
It's simple. It's stupid. And how fucking annoying is the conversation of like, I bought it when it was... Yeah, we get it. We know how it worked. Yeah, you bought it when it was down and now it's up. We get it.
Yeah,
now go sell it.
They never talk about their losses though. Only the winners.
Yeah, right. I bought Tesla. I know. I get it. You bought it. And you're going to say a date that's before today's date, right? Okay, and you bought it at a price that's lower than that price, right? And then how much? And it's always like, I'm always like underwhelmed at everything. Like, I made over 40. Like, I don't care if you made 40 grand. I'm more impressed with the guy who's like, I worked an extra blah, blah, blah weeks and I made $1,200 extra a week doing snow plowing on the side or something, whatever the fuck it was. Working an extra shift here and there, taking on a few extra clients, doing some taxes on the side. That's always more interesting to me.
And Goyhan's messed up his super chat there with the $50. He wanted to say, thoughts on rezoning to commercial. City is okay. Plan on for retail/office suites. Thoughts? Just cleared land and trying to find an architect firm. Any thoughts on taxes from the business?
I'll speak to the rezoning portion. Look into what the value is as residential, and if you're actually creating value by what you can rent it out as a commercial place. But that is how you can make a lot of money, is by getting the government to change their rules to let additional value come in land.
By switching it to commercial?
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's a good play.
Office space, in my head, would be the least profitable one to switch it to. Now, commercial space in general could be Tim Hortons, could be McDonald's, could be, big, but more than likely it's going to be higher end.
Yeah, and oftentimes with commercial, they'll allow more density, so you can put more units in it too. So it really depends on the zoning and maximizing value. But if the city's willing to work with you, you can create a lot of value that way.
That's wild to go. Usually you can come down, you can never go back. You can go C to R, never R to C.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like an aggressive city that is pro-development, then these things do happen, yeah.
They should take advantage.
Yeah. That's usually a pretty big rarity. You can usually turn most commercial places to residential and not the other way around. Around here anyway. They're usually like the other. You can turn a bodega into a bachelor pad if you want, which I have. Shout out Clippers, Carlito McCheese. Who else? Carlito McCheese.
I don't know that one.